At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
I thank you very much for tuning in to the No Fruit Podcast. And so, our question for today: everyone has love, but not every couple has a shared vision. Today, we're joined with Larry and Sue Pruett about why dreaming together might just be the missing piece in your relationship. We'll talk about it right after this.
Let's talk about love and marriage the way that God intended. Life experience, here we share it. The No Fruit Podcast. Tune in from any platform. Podcast. We'll help your spirit transform.
Again, we thank you very much for tuning in. So we're not going to share their bios and all that stuff because you can find it on YouTube or wherever else because they have a wonderful YouTube channel. So if you can, go and listen to them on there. But Larry and Sue, so many couples focus on managing the day-to-day, but you both emphasize the importance of dreaming together. Why do you believe a shared vision is essential for long-term relationship, health, and growth?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it. And we're really looking forward to this. But the reason that it's so important to dream together is because if you're going to be successful in whatever you want to talk about in life, relationship, business, family, any of that, you as a couple have to be pulling the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're dreaming, but you're not dreaming together, it's really easy to start pulling against each other and pulling in different directions. And so I think that dreaming together just leads into the unity that you wanted as a couple when you got married in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just such a key thing for us as if we go back like a few years
More than a few.
in our experience, we started going away for like weekends. And those were times where we just say like, where do we see ourselves in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years down the road? And we just found that the act of dreaming together really gave us a tremendous amount of connection. The dream itself, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it can be very distinct and very unique for every couple. It should be. But just the act of dreaming together provides such a unity as a couple. And then, as Sue said, then you're pulling together in that same direction, whatever you've decided to do. And it just becomes this beautiful thing in a relationship.
That's great. I mean, I think what I'm hearing, and I just want your input a little bit, but a lot of times dreaming is associated with children. Like children dream and they play pretend and all those types of things. And it's unique to hear you say that, you as couples should continue to dream. A lot of times we, as kids, we dream of that wedding and then it kind of stops after that. So talk to us a little bit about how do you continue to do that even after you're married? That you're not done dreaming.
Yeah. And I would just say to that point, there's a point where you have to put some meat on those dreams. You've got to get them a little bit less fuzzy and you've got to start putting some action steps into place so that you start, things can become a reality. But yeah, as kids, we do dream a lot. And then as we get older, we just get, there's a tendency we can start getting cranky with what's going on in life and things start beating you down and you lose those dreams and you just lose, I don't know, just something special about all of that.
I think a huge part of it is that tyranny of the urgent begins to pull on you a lot. And you start, one of the things that we talk with our students a lot about is saying no more often. I think as we all have a tendency to say yes to too many things. And before we know it, we're spread too thin, we're dropping balls, we can't achieve even what we have already committed to do, let alone think about doing something different in the
Right.
future.
Mhm.
And honestly, for us, we've been through a roller coaster with that. We've had times where we've dreamed together really well,
Mhm.
had really good, clear dreams, other times where it's gotten fuzzy or it's gotten lost. In fact, you had an experience several years ago when you were working your corporate job about 9:30 on a
Oh
Tuesday night
yeah.
or whatever it was. You want to share that?
Right. Yeah. So in some ways we were living our dream, so to speak,
Mhm.
because Sue was able to stay home with our kids. We've got 5 kids, and she was able to be homeschooling them. And at one point, I had a job that was full time. It was 30 hours a week.
Mhm.
They don't make those type of jobs anymore, I don't think. So, but then that quickly turned on us, and it became this thing where I was gone for basically the entire waking hours of our kids
Mm.
during the week. So it became, I guess you could, our dream turned into a nightmare a little bit there.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and so there was an evening where I was coming home from work, and there were some days where I did get off at 6 or 7. Some days I got off at 8 o'clock or something like
Mhm.
that. And I
Mhm.
was thinking, what time of day even is it right now? I was kind of having one of those disoriented moments as I'm driving, which is a little bit frightening, right?
Mhm.
um, but I went by a bank that had that time and temperature
Yes.
thing on it, and I looked over and it said 9:35 p.m. And
Mm.
the realization just hit me. Well, literally, I think I said it out loud. I was in the vehicle by myself. It's okay to talk to yourself sometimes. And I just said, what in the world am I doing? When I get home, the kids are all going to be in bed.
Mhm.
Sue made some fantastic supper, but it's well, hopefully there's some leftovers, because with
Mhm.
the kids, you never know.
Right, right, right.
But I'm going to have to warm it up. And I've just missed out on an entire day with my kids again here. And so that's one of those moments where we're like, okay, this is not working. And we had to kind of redream. We had to regroup on that and say,
Mm.
this is not what we wanted life to look like. But we've got the opportunity to fix this or to do something about it. So what do we want to do? We know this is not it.
Mhm.
So how do
Mhm.
we want things to look in the future?
I think sometimes we get caught up in because as I'm listening to you, it reminds me of my job because I used to get off at 8 o'clock at night at one time, and and I was missing Christmas and Thanksgiving and those type of holidays. And Kafa would go drop me off in early in the morning, so I'm waking the kids up 6 o'clock in the morning just to open up Christmas gifts,
Mhm.
and so I understand that, but a lot of times I know for myself was, you know what, I want to make sure that these lights stay on. You know what? I want to try and make sure that this water stays on. And some of that was because of I didn't know how to manage my time, my energy, because I didn't necessarily see that as a kid. So what I thought from a kid perspective of how to dream, we're now also taught how to manage that as well. So how do we get into that place of understanding how to manage that dream to make it come a true full blown reality?
I absolutely love that you use the word energy there, not just time, but energy. I think that's a missing piece that we many times think of. So,
Hmm.
in other words, there could be opportunities where I'm at home, but I am not present
Hmm.
because I've got no energy. I am spent from the day and such. So I do think once we've taken this dream of, hey, this is where we want to be. Again, I kind of use the 5 year down the road type thing. That's a decent place to start, to give it time to be working on things. But then as you start putting some meat to those bones and you
Hmm.
start saying, what are some action steps? What are something that I can do today or this week that's going to move me towards that goal?
Hmm.
The one thing. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So we often, there's the book, The One Thing. The author's name is escaping me right now, but he asked the question, what is the one thing that I can do right now that by doing that, everything else becomes easier or maybe unnecessary? And so when we think in those terms of what's the easiest next right step to take that will make things easier down the road, I think that is a huge key to
Hmm.
putting action to your dreams so that you can be moving towards what you want to do.
And I think I'll just add to that real quickly is, we talk a lot about entrepreneurship because that's who we are. We've been full-time entrepreneurs for 12 and a half years now, but not everybody is an entrepreneur. Not
Hmm.
everybody has to do that. And we fully understand that. And so maybe somebody's dream is to advance in a corporate position,
Hmm.
but then you have to be very intentional and understanding about what is the cost with that.
Hmm.
What are the extra responsibilities, the travel, the time away and such. And I think that's a very legitimate path that somebody can choose. But again, back to that question of how do I manage it?
Hmm.
You just have to be very aware of what the consequences are, positive and negative, of
Hmm.
those decisions, and then come up with a very active game plan on how are we going to get there so that I don't lose my soul along the way of trying to accomplish whatever it is I'm trying to accomplish.
And so I'm gonna piggyback off of the entrepreneur thing because again, we started our own company in 2012, so we're relatively around the same time. And
Mhm.
so the thing is in that dream of being an entrepreneur, right? You're like, hey, you hear this word and you hear people, you see people flashing money and the bigger houses and cars and things like that, and not understanding 100% what it really took to get to that point. Um, and so whether it was the time or the energy, but how am I utilizing that? And with that comes educating myself. Because that's some of the things that we didn't understand. There were some legal things, some forms, some, processes, some systems that I'm gonna be honest with you, we didn't really get into that until probably halfway through, of really understanding what it really meant and what it took to get to become a true entrepreneur, i.e., business person, and understanding the difference between working in your business and on your business. Two different ideas, right? So I think those type of things, when we think about dreams, we don't always understand because we see the bigger and or global image and not understanding all the little baby steps. Because I'm a big picture person. Kafi's the baby step person, right? And so sometimes I'm like, no, we could get there, we could get there. But Maurice, what's the first step? And I'm, and so sometimes I think those type of things kind of deters us from our dream because we don't always know all those little steps that we need to take to get there.
Mhm. That is so true, and so I think that's a big part of our kind of weekend getaways that we do on a regular basis is we are laying out steps. So we think about the big dream, but then we start breaking it down to what are the things that need to be done at what stage
Hmm.
of working towards this dream, and that really does help. But also, I have to say that for us, when we stepped into entrepreneurship, we kind of did it. We did it on the side at first. It was a side hustle. And it was very much Larry doing it really on his own. I was busy having babies and homeschooling, so I didn't have any time to give into that. But then when we began to take that step into full time entrepreneurship, where he
Hmm.
was going to be home and we were going to be doing this as a family, that was our dream. That was our goal, was to show our children that there was more than one way to do life. And we
Hmm.
wanted them to see, they had seen what it was like to have a corporate job and to be a faithful employee and to do all the honorable work there. And we wanted to show them there's another way that you can do it too. And frankly, neither one of those ways made us millionaires, but
Right.
we supported our family. We have a closeness as a family now that I'm thrilled with. Even our children are all very close to each other, even though they're most all are grown and out of the house. Um,
We'll be there.
and it became like that became the most important thing to us.
Mhm.
Yes, we needed to support our family. Yes, we needed to earn money, but the more important thing was showing our children there's more than one way to do this, and these are honorable ways to do it. All of them are.
Yeah, I
Yeah, there's
think.
so many things that we've kind of discovered along the way, also, just like what you're saying, and some of them even recently, and of course technology changes and there's
Hmm.
different tools and such that are available now that weren't available 12, 13 years ago. Um, but one of the things that we did that has really helped us with kind of where you were going with that question is we developed a family mission statement, and then we used that as a filter to help us as we were making decisions.
Hmm.
And fast forward now to 2025 when we're recording this, is now we've got these AI tools that we
Mhm.
Mhm.
can plug those type of things into these AI tools and then say, here's this opportunity that's come up. Or Larry's come up with this crazy idea today. And what's the first step is
Hmm.
what
Yes.
Sue is asking me. All right. So we're very similar there. and then we run that through the AI program, and it's like, here's some tough questions that you need to ask yourself. What is the cost of this? Are you going to have the energy to do this? And it's a little bit scary how much the AI knows us.
Right,
but
right,
it's
right.
also a tool
Yeah.
that we can use to our benefit. So that's something that now we are teaching other people on how to do, so that you take those dreams, you make them really practical, you filter out the good ideas, so that you've got the time and energy for the excellent ideas.
Yeah. So, yeah, what I was hearing a lot is, well, that gravitated to me was the values, even in those goals, the values, even in your dreams, and I think that's where we have to kind of match up. A lot of times, I think, even in our marriage journey, we've been married almost 25 years. We didn't always dream together in that way, but our values always matched up. So even though he may be dreaming on, climbing the corporate ladder when he was in corporate America, and I was like Sue, just like, okay, I just want to keep the house together. Want to keep a roof over our heads. Yeah, I'll go to work, but my importance part, my value was home. So it was key that we had those same values, even though maybe our dreams and our goals were different. And then as time goes on, you live together, you work together, and those things some kind of way match up again, So talk to us a little bit about, just the family values. You talked about the mission statement that you have, and that kind of helps to go to that value. But talk to us a little bit more about those family values and how those impact the entrepreneur and how that impacts just the dreams.
Oh, absolutely. When we got married, I don't think we had any idea what we were getting into, as far as just marriage. And also, I didn't picture myself with 5 children and homeschooling and all that kind of thing, but
Definitely not running a business.
no, not running a business. Oh yeah, we were told every which way, you're not entrepreneurs, don't ever do that. And so
Don't ever tell us we can't do something.
one of us is a little stubborn.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Same here.
But yeah. But as far as the family values go, that whole thing about showing our children, I mean, that was a huge thought at the forefront of our mind always as we were raising our children, is the discipleship aspect of it. We wanted to lead them down a good spiritual path. We wanted to lead them down a good physical path. We wanted to lead them down a good family path. We wanted to show them what a good godly marriage looked like and what a good family, godly family looked like. And we definitely made mistakes in all of those areas. None of it was perfect. We're not Christ, so we weren't perfect.
Right.
And so, but our children saw some of the things that were absolutely possible. And to this day, we just discovered this recently. 4 of our kids have moved out of the house and they're scattered across the country. And we just found out recently that on a regular basis, it's almost weekly, our 5 kids all get on a video chat together and spend an hour or 2 visiting with each other.
That's nice.
We had no idea this was happening, and this was not something I anticipated, but what a blessing it was to learn that it was happening. And so they see that importance of sticking together as siblings, and we have regular discussions with them individually as well. But when we found out about that group chat, we were really excited to hear that they're maintaining those relationships. And so I think we can kind of, check the success column in that,
Right.
that they value their family relationships as much as we hoped they would.
Yeah, and our values definitely inform our mission and definitely inform what we do. But then it can just take so many directions from there, because
Right.
there are it's a really good value to keep the lights on, like
Yeah.
what you said. And so sometimes that means you go out and get jobs,
Right.
and you work for somebody else. And then sometimes it's like, well, maybe we can explore this whole entrepreneurship thing. And then there's all kinds of iterations in between there as well.
Right.
It's not binary. It's not just these 2 ways of bringing money in. But, for us, definitely one of the values was family, and for me to be present in the home. And again, at that moment where I said, what am I doing? That my job was standing in the way of us accomplishing our dreams, and it was standing in the way of our values. And so we knew something has to change. I didn't go in and quit the next day. It was, I'd say, probably a year later. So we put a plan into place,
Right.
and we took some time. And whenever I gave notice at my job, I gave a 6-month notice.
Wow.
I didn't know if they were going to say, no, just get out of here.
Mhm.
But they used every single day of my 6 month notice. And
And then some.
and then I stayed on as a consultant for a
Consultant,
little
yeah,
while
yeah.
afterwards. The Lord provided there, but so that was a little bit scary doing that.
Mhm.
But we put a plan in place, and then we just trusted the Lord, which we all are in that position, whether we recognize it at the moment or not, that
Mhm.
we are completely trusting Him for the next breath. But it becomes more obvious at different stages of life for sure.
Right, and I think both of you said a mouthful, to be honest. There's a few things that I want I want to touch on. First, I can totally agree that not having a family support, because the name of the podcast is called the No Fruit Podcast for a reason. People didn't think that we were going to be fruitful. People did not believe in what we were going to achieve. I have another podcast called That's Will Never Work Podcast. Again, same idea, right? People didn't believe that we were going to be where we are. No one really supported the dream of us living and being together for 25 years, which is very interesting that now going to your children part, right? Of, hey, they're staying connected to the community. They're staying connected to the source to a degree, right, of each other. And a lot of times we're not always taught to stay connected. We have that I, me mentality. And I think those are the type of things that when you talk about value of, hey, the importance of family, the importance of community, that when it comes down to it, in some cases, that's all you really have. That you can, hey, this support system that I have, and I've had it for over years, I already know how you're going to respond. I already know how you're going to talk back to me. I already know that, hey, if I call my brother over here, he's going to tell me what I don't want to hear, but I know I need to hear it anyway. So sometimes we don't understand the true value of that. Even though the family did not necessarily support, but sometimes I know for myself, I need to hear, Maurice, you're not going to be what you think you're going to be. Well, guess what? Here I am today.
The
Right?
stubborn side.
It's the stubborn side, right? And on top of that, the other part of that is we are, well, not this particular podcast, but I'm an award-winning podcaster for the other one, and we've been nominated for an award for this one. Again, breaking this cycle of people telling us we can't be anything, not doing anything, but it helps to say, hey, we can do it together. We can show you, just because you didn't experience it, doesn't mean it's not possible, right? So I think those are the type of things that we are changing the atmosphere, understanding that through Christ, all things are possible, right? That now we are beyond what our ancestors had even considered, and I think those are the type of things that as we continue to move forward and listen, again, like y'all said, y'all said a whole mouthful. I can go on for the next 3 hours just over the little bit that y'all provided, but I think that was very powerful and impactful, which allowed me to be like, yo, you know what? There's no way that I can truncate it, make it small, and especially for the pieces that somebody might have missed, and be able to implement like, hey, you know what? I can be a little bit better, and I can continue to dream. Because even though the bills, I mean, look, we filed bankruptcy within 4 years of us being married. And some of that is based off of not knowing how to manage money, right? Not understanding that, hey, this baby really costs $1,000 a month, right? and that's just them coming out, because of diapers and everything else. We haven't even gotten to childcare stuff yet, and so those are things that we don't always understand, and why I think kills our dream to some degree, because we're not prepared for what the true cost of that dream is.
I agree. And I think that a huge piece of any successful endeavor, put anything that you want at homeschooling, entrepreneurship, anything, corporate work, any of it, you have to have a mental toughness that allows you to absorb, or to maybe even, let those difficult times kind of bounce off of you. One of the things that has benefited us, I think, is that my personality is I tend to be a little bit cold, so I don't get too caught up emotionally in all the ups and downs. It's a good thing. Read as you feel free. It's a good thing. Yeah, and that helps because it helps you keep a clear head, and it helps you to hang on to the dream even in the face of the challenge. And
Mhm.
I
so,
think they're relating with
yeah,
us.
Pretty much, pretty much.
I see some
yeah,
finger
but
pointing
you're
going on there. And so, yeah.
so but it serves well, does it
It
not?
does. It does.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
especially when you have a dreamer as a husband,
Mhm.
because he is a dreamer, he's a visionary. So
Mhm.
he sees things. And again, he's a big picture person. So when he shares things and it, like he says, people don't believe in it, I'm like, okay, so what? Keep it going.
But it'll deflate me, and so now I'll retract. I'll retreat a little bit, and not put my whole energy into it. Now, even though I'm still kind of moving forward, but I'm not getting the results, and now I'm frustrated because I'm too busy hearing all the other voices,
And I'm like,
in the
wait a minute,
background.
remember what our steps are? Step 1, step 2, let's go back. Let's revisit what we said we were going to do. So I
If we can
applaud.
just get like, I'm sorry, if we can just get like really real here,
Yeah.
Right.
like if we could rewind 24 hours ago,
Yeah.
this was an ugly scene here in this very spot.
Mhm.
Because some people that we really trust
Mhm.
and that we look up to use the word impossible
Yeah.
with us.
Mm.
That what we were trying to do was very, very difficult and maybe impossible. And I was crushed.
Mhm.
I'm just being real here.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, please
And
do.
so I'm ready to just like clamp up and just shut down and I'm
Mhm.
done. And Sue kind of rolls over on this chair kind of close to me and I'm kind of like, what? and she leans into this really difficult moment and difficult situation. I'm like, I don't really want to talk right now. But we talked and
Mhm.
we talked, and by 23 hours ago, my jaw is set and like, impossible.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
we're gonna do this. And I'm saying I think it was 48 hours ago.
Yeah.
Actually, if we got to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
factual here, but
Right.
yeah, this is just real life, and
Right.
there is a roller coaster ride to it, and we do have to be tough mentally,
Mhm.
and then we have to come back and produce that energy.
Mhm.
And rely upon the Lord to produce that energy within us,
Mhm.
and then to continue on.
Yeah. I think what you're saying is true. I think 24 hours ago, I was in tears, actually. Well, 12 hours probably.
Mhm.
But just again, what God has for us is for
Mhm.
us. You know what I mean? So no matter what humans see
Mhm.
in us, because they don't see it through the spirit.
Right.
So I think that's the part that hurts a lot of times, because again, like you said, it's the people that are close to us,
Mhm.
and you would think that they would know us well, but they don't know us like God knows us. You know what I mean? And what He has for us and what our purpose is here. Nobody can to move that. You know what I mean? So, congratulations to you for continuing to push this thing forward and not giving up, along with all the naysayers and the no's and the nevers. Congratulations to my husband for that vision that he's had, and he's moving forward with it. And I'm just here to help.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So but I thank y'all very much for coming on. I thank you for sharing your story.
Yes.
I think for the information that you provided, like I said, was very impactful. I thank you for being such great role models, and something providing information that everyone can learn from and should be able to take and implement every day of their lives. So I thank you very much for coming on and sharing that. And if people want more information, where can they find you so they can hear more of this type of information?
Yeah, we'd love to give a free gift to your listeners.
Great.
And that is a set of Connect cards. And so this is for husbands and wives. Basically, this is a set of about, I think it's almost 2 months worth of cards. So one per day. You take the card out. There's a question on it. Some of them are just fun and light. Some of them are a little bit deeper. But literally, we're talking about for couples to spend anywhere from a couple of minutes, maybe 2 to 5 minutes a day.
Mhm.
So guys, you can do this. All right. So sometimes the guys have a tendency to be like, I don't want to talk. So guys, you can do this. It's just a couple minutes a day, but it does help with the connection between the couple. And you can get that on our website at sidebysidebusiness.com/connect.
Cool.
Great.
The thing is that I'm the talker. She
Mhm.
isn't.
Wow.
So-
Awesome.
yeah, but we thank you very much for sharing that. And of course, that information will be in the show notes. So if anybody is out there doing whatever you're doing, gardening, whatever it might be, the information will be there.
So before we let you both go, it's really hard to let you go because, like Maurice said, we can continue this conversation for much longer.
It's easy.
But before we let you go for today's podcast, I have one question left for you both. You know, you're so connected and all of that great things. But my question is, if you could sing a duet with anyone in the world other than each other, living or deceased, who would you sing that duet with?
Oh, that is a good question. I can't sing, so I never picture myself singing with anybody. So I'm going to add to that, and I had a good voice.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. I think I would really love to sing with the Gettys. So that would be a trio, but that would be probably who I would pick.
So if this somebody who's alive or
living or deceased?
It doesn't matter.
All right, so I would love to sing. This is going to be maybe surprising, but Whitney Houston.
Okay.
She would totally carry the duet.
Yeah.
And I would just kind of like not kind of pretend,
Just be there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. That's nice. Well, you know, and since y'all being such fun, I'm going to ask y'all my question off of That Will Never Work, because I kind of piggyback off of both. So off of That Will Never Work, I ask every guest my would you rather question. Use your imagination. There are no parameters. There's no right or wrong.
Okay.
Would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road?
Choose 3 doors or a fork in the road.
Tough question.
I like traveling, so I'll say a fork in the road.
Okay.
I was going to say a fork in the road as well. And my mind went to, and I don't know if this is anywhere clear where you're going with, but I think about Jeremiah 6:16. Stand at the crossroads and look, ask for the ancient path, ask where the good way is, and walk in it. So as long as I have a chance to ask for the ancient path and where the good way is, and then I'll be able to know which fork to take.
That's nice. That's nice. Again, it was no right or wrong. It's just a fun way to end off the show. You know, and give everybody an idea of how you process information, what your thoughts are. You know, sometimes people want more options. Some people do not. Some people have answered that question saying, hey, the doors are glass. I can already see what's at the end, behind the doors. So that's why I said, use your imagination.
Yeah, that's great.
But we thank y'all very much for coming on the show.
Yes, it's been a pleasure having you. So again, all of the information for our guest today will be in the show notes. We thank you very much, Larry and Sue, for being on today.
Thank you. It's been such a delight to be here with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Sure, no problem. And we thank y'all very much for listening, and we'll talk to you just a little bit later.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the No Fruit Podcast, where we bring you fruitful conversations, ripened wisdom, and love that's deeply rooted. We hope today's discussion left you feeling uplifted, encouraged, and ready to take on life's journey with purpose. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration in their day. You can catch up on past episodes, send us your thoughts, or learn more about us on social media. Until next time, stay rooted in love, and remember, every seed you plant today shapes the fruit of tomorrow. Take care, and we'll see you next time.